I must admit, I was wrong about iPhone Air, and you are probably too. And it's completely understandable because Apple screwed up with marketing and didn't sell us the phone properly. So when Apple first released it, I was like, quite interesting phone. I like the design, but I will not buy it because why should I? You pay like 40% more from base iPhone and you basically get less, at least on the paper. So I ordered myself a Pro iPhone, and when I went for it, I tried this. And I must admit, when I tried iPhone 17 Pro or Pro Max, it just felt like a brick. And I picked this one. And I've been using it for 2 months, and I must say, I love it. So what is so good about this phone that you should at least consider it? Well, it's a combination of few things. And the thing basically everybody is overlooking is usability of the phone. Very important part of using the phone, because you may have amazing cameras which you sometimes use. You may have amazing display and everything. But if the phone is too bulky, if it doesn't feel right, it's too big or too small, it's just wrong. And this phone has several very interesting things, very interesting aspects of it. The first is durability. You might be expecting that this phone will break very easily. It will not. It's incredibly durable. You cannot bend it. Like, it's quite difficult to do so, and if I use quite a big force, it doesn't flex a bit. If you drop it, I did. Usually nothing happens because it has titanium frame, so it's very, very durable. Then on the front and on the back is ceramic shield too, which is, again, incredibly durable. I'm using this phone without a case, and this is very important part for me, because if you buy iPhone Air, I would highly recommend use it without a case. It's fantastic. So you have the durability, and then you have ergonomy. This phone is so thin that I was afraid that it will not be comfortable, but I was wrong. The thing is that the edges are nicely rounded, enough so it will not cut you into your hand. It's very comfortable to hold. But on the other hand, the phone is not slippery. So even if you are using it without a case, you shouldn't have any issues. Another thing is display. This display has 6.5 inches. So it's in the middle between base iPhone or iPhone Pro and the Pro Max iPhone. And the display size is, I would say, perfect, because it's big enough that you can see the content very nicely. On the other hand, it's small enough that you can comfortably control the phone with one hand, and it's just not too big, not too bulky. You can write, you can type very comfortably, you can watch media very comfortably, and you can wear the phone very comfortably, which with new 17 Pro Max, which is just huge, might be an issue. So this phone solves me one really big pain, and that is choosing between the base iPhone and the Pro Max iPhone. And this overall usability is just amazing. This is a huge part of this phone which you will not find on the paper, but this is what makes iPhone Air so enjoyable. And of course there are some worries. Actually quite a lot of them. So where do we start? Let's start with speaker. There is only one in the top of the phone. And this has several issues. First, if you sometimes use the phone, for example, in the bathroom, or you need just to listen like on a really small volume, you do this. You cannot do that with this phone, you need to do this. So it's only about getting used to. Another issue is that you can hear that there is only one speaker. And it's not a too big issue for me, but I guess it can be an issue for you. If you take into consideration that it's in such a small body, it sounds incredible. On the other hand, if you compare it to normal iPhones, especially Pro iPhones, it sucks.
No, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust.
But I personally, again, do not have issue with that, because usually when I'm using this speaker, I'm in a quiet room. No issue there. On the other hand, if you will use this phone and you are cooking, you are going through the room, and you have the phone away from you, this is an issue because the maximum loudness on this speaker is just way too low. So it really depends on your use case. But usually if you are in the loud room, I guess you can use something like AirPods Pro or something similar and solve the issue. That's case for me, so I don't really care about speaker too much. What I care about is the camera. And actually the camera itself is really good. If you have good lighting, everything, the camera makes amazing pictures. Problem is there is no telephoto, so only 1 and 2 times zoom. If you zoom higher than like 4 or 5 times, the photos are just way too bad. They are unusable. So this is first thing that sucks. Another thing that sucks, you do not have ultra-wide lens. So again, if you need to make some wide picture, you cannot do that. Quite limiting. But I have like quite interesting use case. For example, I quite often read QR codes. And sometimes the QR codes are just way too small, so you need to get your phone closer to them. But the phone doesn't read them because the focal point is just way too long, and if you close your phone, it cannot read them properly. Very special case, but it is one. Another thing which does bother me is flaring issue. And I will show you a video where I have Burj Khalifa, and you can see few like green points appearing through the video. Sometimes it's more noticeable, sometimes it's less noticeable, but the problem is that it's inconsistent. So taking photos and especially videos at night might not be perfect with this phone. But again, here it depends on your use case. If you are making vlogs, if you are taking videos on your phone, this is not phone for you. Just buy Pro phone. But if you are average user or normal user, which just sometimes takes a photo of something and then uses phone like 90% of time for phoning and for writing messages, this shouldn't be an issue for you. Another issue you might expect is battery life. And really, it is not as good as on new iPhones. But you will probably not be upgrading from 17 Pro Max or 17 Pro to this phone. No. You'll be upgrading from something, maybe 16 Pro, which has the same battery life as this phone. Or maybe some other older models, which have just way less battery life than this phone. Or maybe you will be upgrading from mini phones. Again, incredible upgrade here. So it really depends, again, on your use case, but unless you are upgrading from something like 16 Pro Max or just phone with huge battery life, like maybe S23, S24 Ultra, this battery life should be a really upgrade for you. And I have zero issues with battery life. Basically, only time I wished for more battery life was when I was in Dubai. They kicked us off the hotel in the morning. I was using this phone throughout the day. And then we flew back home and I was using the phone in a plane. And we have arrived next day in the morning. So I was using this phone throughout the day and I really needed to take care about the battery because it wouldn't last me that long. This is only thing when I wished I had more battery life and the phone still managed it. I had to do some work too, but battery life shouldn't be really limiting to you unless you are a really like power hungry user for that. Speaking of power, I don't know what you are expecting from this phone. Because on one hand, it's thin phone. You might be expecting bad thermals and other things. And that's true. On the other hand, this has the Pro chip itself. Binned, but still it's Pro chip. 12 GB of memory. And again, zero issues with that. Yes, when I was installing the phone, it got hot. Yeah, not too hot, but it was really warm. If there are some updates, sometimes it gets warm. Only this part because everything is placed in here, the rest of the phone is battery though. When I was playing some games, not really hard playing, but I was just trying like Asphalt 9 or something like that. I was playing for 20 or 30 minutes, zero issues. It didn't even get like warm. So unless you'll be using this phone quite hard, like editing video on it, playing some demanding games, don't know any, you should be fine with that. Well, there are some limitations I haven't mentioned yet. USB-C is still 2.0 speed, so 480 megabits per second. Quite slow, but do you use it? It has also a little bit slower charging, 5 watts difference between normal phone and this one. You do not have cinematic mode even on the front selfie camera, which by the way is absolutely amazing. You do not get cinematic mode, so if you want to use it, again, you need either basic iPhone or Pro iPhone. You have only eSIM, so it doesn't matter where you are. If you are in Europe, you still get an eSIM, which, quite frankly, I think is advantage nowadays. But also there are some things which are really great about this phone. I was talking about ergonomy and how amazing it is to use this phone. And quite a big part of it is display. It's the same display you can find on any new iPhone. iPhone 17, 17 Pro Max has the same display, only size is different. But the size is a huge advantage here. You get everything you get on a Pro iPhone, so always on display, 120 Hz, LTPO, anti-reflective coating, which I think is amazing. Again, you get it on all iPhones this year, but I think it's worth mentioning because it really helps this phone a lot. And with 3000 nits of peak brightness, the display is always visible, no matter where you are. So, conclusion. To whom would I recommend this phone? It really depends on your use case, but I can imagine that somebody like a manager or somebody who doesn't need the power of the phone, but just needs a nice representative phone which is comfortable to use and looks nicely, this is perfect phone for you. If you are a power user, you need the best cameras and everything, just buy Pro iPhone. If you want the best value, you will not find that here. Just buy the base iPhone. But usually I told people, if you want the best iPhone, just buy 17 Pro Max. And that's not the case here. If you want the best iPhone by performance, buy 17 Pro Max. But if you want best, most interesting iPhone, at least consider this one. Just try it and you will see. You might like it, you might hate it. What's your opinion about iPhone Air? Let me know. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe will help me grow this channel. If you have any questions, don't hesitate and write them down in the comments. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you and bye.